I thought my life was perfect. Coffee in hand, laptop open, emails sorted, everything seemed normal. Then my phone buzzed. "Can't wait to see you tonight from Chloe." I smiled, the kind of smile that didn't hide a thing, thinking about how lucky I was. "Hey, Chloe," I said later on video call. "How was your day?" "Busy, but better now," she replied, her eyes sparkling. "I've been counting the hours until tonight," I laughed. "You make it sound like I'm the reward or something," she giggled. "You kind of are."
What?
It should have been enough, but a little voice inside me whispered doubt. I shoved it aside. I wanted to believe in us. Then my phone buzzed again. Logan, my best friend, my brother through every stage of life. "Yo, Liam, free tonight?" I typed back, "Yeah. Chloe and I are meeting later." "You?" "Nothing much. Just chilling." "Hit me up if you want." It's normal, I thought. Until Chloe said, "Actually, Logan wants to come over tonight." "Is that okay?" I froze. "Logan here? With us?" Her smile was too bright. "I thought it'd be fun. We haven't all hung out in a while." Hesitated but nodded. "Sure, if you're sure." Later, I arrived home. The apartment smelled like vanilla, her favorite. Logan was already there, leaning casually against the wall. "Hey, man," he said, grinning. "Didn't expect you this early?" I hugged him, trying to ignore the weird tension. "Yeah, got off early today." "Chloe." She smiled at him. Too easy, too warm. My stomach twisted. I laughed nervously. "You two seem close." Chloe tilted her head, laughter too light. "Just catching up." I tried to shrug it off. "Right?" We all sat down. Conversation started casual, jokes flying. Then Logan's phone buzzed. He checked it discreetly, smirked, and slid it under the table. I glanced at it, my heart froze. A message preview, "Can't wait to see you tonight," from Chloe. I whispered, "What? What's this?" Chloe's smile faltered. Logan's grin vanished. "Liam, it's not what it looks like," Chloe said too quickly. I felt my world tilt. "Then explain," I said, voice trembling. They exchanged a look like rehearsed actors. My stomach sank every kind word, every touch, every late-night chat. A lie. "Why?" I asked. "Why would you do this?" Logan shrugged. "It just happened. Didn't mean to hurt you." Chloe's eyes were wide but empty. "Liam, I didn't know how to tell you." I laughed bitterly. "Didn't know how to tell me? You lied for months?" Silence. I stood, shaking. The apartment felt smaller than ever, walls closing in. I walked outside. The cool night air hit my face, but it didn't help. Chloe's laughter, Logan's smirk, the betrayal lit burned in my chest. I had lost everything. My perfect life, gone. And all I could do was stand there, numb, heart shattered, wondering how I had been so blind, so foolish. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Chloe laughing, Logan's smug grin, that message glowing on my phone like a neon knife. Every word they'd said to me felt poison now. I whispered to myself, how did I not see it? How could I be so stupid? At work it was worse. People stared, whispered behind their hands. "Did you hear about Liam?" Someone muttered, "Can't believe Chloe." Another voice trailed off. My hands trembled slightly as I gripped my mug. "Liam. It's..." Sarah was standing by my desk, eyebrows furrowed in concern. "Yeah. I'm fine," I said quickly, forcing a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "You don't sound fine," she said softly, folding her arms. I snapped a little. I said I'm fine. Immediately, guilt pricked me. "Sorry, just a rough night." She nodded, patient. "I get it. But you don't have to pretend with me." Her words stuck. I looked at her, a coworker I barely knew. Yet she didn't gossip, didn't judge. Pretend. Right? That's what I've been doing all day, Sarah. Pretending everything's okay when everything's broken. She leaned against the desk, casual, but steady. It's natural to feel like that. Betrayal from someone you trust hits hard. I laughed bitterly, dragging my hand through my hair. Betrayal. That's putting it lightly. Chloe. Logan. They turned my life into a joke. My trust. My heart. Everything. I can see why you'd feel that way, Sarah said, voice soft. But staying stuck won't help. You need to focus on yourself. Even tiny steps count. I blinked. Her words were simple, almost naive, yet they cut through my anger in a strange way. Tiny steps. I don't even know where to start. Start by breathing, she said lightly, and by knowing that not everyone around you is fake. I hesitated. Was she saying that because she felt sorry for me? Or did she mean it? And you're real? I whispered. Her smile was calm, honest. I'm real, Liam, and I can help if you let me. But only if you're willing to accept it. Her words hit harder than any betrayal ever could. I wanted to say yes, to cling to someone, but suspicion gnawed at me. Why? Why would you care? Because I've seen people get hurt like this, she said sincerely. And it doesn't have to be permanent. You can recover, even if it's messy. I leaned back, chest tight, heart raw. Gratitude mixed with doubt. Messy, I whispered. That's exactly what my life had become. Chloe's laughter, Logan's smirk, the whispers at work. All messy. She didn't push further. Take it one day at a time. Don't let them win by letting this define you. And if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I nodded slowly, swallowing hard. Thanks, Sarah. Really. Later during lunch, I replayed our conversation repeatedly. Every time I thought about it, a small weight lifted, though the pain remained sharp. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt a flicker of clarity. Like the first sparks of resilience buried under humiliation. By the end of the day, I was exhausted, emotionally drained, but strangely alert. Chloe and Logan weren't my focus. Any more Sarah's words lingered, quiet anchor in the chaos. Walking to the train station, I muttered under my breath. One day at a time. One step. Just one step. The city lights blurred around me, but I felt a sliver of hope. The betrayal had cut deep, yes, but I was still standing. And standing meant I wasn't finished yet. I walked into the office, my stomach twisting. Today was the final presentation for the Carter project, the one I had been leading for months. Chloe and Logan were gone from my thoughts for the first time, the weight of failure still pressed down on me. Double quotes, Liam? Everything okay? Sarah's voice broke through my anxiety. I forced a smile. Yeah, just nervous, I guess. Big day. She raised an eyebrow. You've been nervous all week. More than usual. I'll be fine, I muttered. The conference room was full. I set up my slides and took a deep breath. Logan arrived a few minutes later, smiling too, easily. I ignored it, focusing on the presentation. Halfway through, disaster struck. A key file didn't load. I fumbled, trying to access it on my laptop. My face burned. Everything okay, Liam? Mr. Thompson asked, his voice tight. Yes, just a technical hiccup, I said quickly. Clicking frantically, Logan leaned over subtly, whispering, maybe you forgot to sync the new version. His tone casual, but I felt the sting, that file. I knew I'd synced it. I swallowed hard. I did. Must be a glitch. Sarah shot me a supportive look. You've got this, Liam. Don't let it shake you. But I was shaken. By the time I recovered, half my points had been lost. Questions fired at me I wasn't ready for. Chloe's face flashed in my mind. Not her physically, her betrayal, her lies. That rage fueled a tight ball in my chest. After the presentation, Mr. Thompson said quietly, "We'll review and let you know." The words felt like a judgment, even though they were neutral. Later, I overheard colleagues whispering. Did you see Liam stumble? Couldn't believe it? Yeah, what happened with that file? The humiliation wrapped around me like a heavy cloak. My phone buzzed. Another message from Chloe. Hope everything's okay. I threw the phone onto my desk. I couldn't stand the sight of her name. At home, my parents called. Liam, are you eating? Talking to people? My mom's voice was gentle but firm. I'm fine. Really, I said. irritation flaring. I don't need advice right now. Son, we just want to help. I said I'm fine. I snapped, hanging up. Shame and anger boiled together. How could they understand? How could anyone understand the sting of betrayal and professional humiliation all at once? I spent the evening staring at my reflection, watching a man I barely recognized. Eyes hollow, jaw tight. Rage, grief, and a deep sense of injustice churned inside me. Every memory of Logan's smirk and Chloe's laughter ignited it. Yet, amidst the chaos, I noticed subtle signs that not everyone had turned against me. Sarah had stayed behind after the meeting, helping me pack notes without comment. One of my colleagues, Mr. Patel, had given me a nod of respect before leaving. Small gestures, but they mattered. I whispered to myself, maybe not everyone is against me. The night stretched on. I scribbled ideas on a pad, ways to fix the project, ways to reclaim control, ways to make sure the next presentation couldn't fail. Every plan I wrote fueled a spark, faint but real, that maybe this fall wasn't the end. Before bed, I looked at the ceiling and muttered, I'll get back up. I have to. I can't let them win. Somewhere deep inside, beneath humiliation and rage, determination was forming. The fall hurt, yes, but it also made something clear. If I wanted to survive this, I had to fight quietly. Strategically and fight I would. I sat at my desk late into the night, staring at the blank page. Anger simmered beneath my skin, replacing the despair that had kept me frozen for days. Chloe's laughter, Logan's smirk, they haunted me. I whispered, they'll pay for this. Somehow, they'll pay. A soft knock on the door broke my thoughts. Liam. Sarah's voice was cautious. I looked up. Hey, didn't expect you? I thought you might need company. She leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, or at least someone to talk to. I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I could use that. She stepped inside. You've been quiet all day. Not like yourself. Quiet's better than shouting, don't you think? I muttered, but my tone was sharp. She didn't flinch. Maybe, but bottling things up won't help either. I glanced at her. I'm figuring things out, slowly. Slowly is fine, she said softly. What matters is that you're moving forward. I laughed bitterly. Forward. Forward feels like revenge right now. Every plan I make, every step I take is about getting back at them. Sarah tilted her head. Revenge won't fix everything, Liam. But using your energy to rebuild yourself? That can work. I smirked, even though my chest was tight. Maybe. But first, they need to realize what they lost. Chloe Logan. They act untouchable, like nothing will ever catch up to them. Sarah's eyes softened. And that's why you're thinking strategically. You're not letting anger control you completely. I exhaled slowly. Not yet. But it's tempting. Logan flaunts his little victories at work. Chloe posts pictures online, smiling, showing off her perfect life. It's like rubbing salt in the wound. Then focus on yourself, not them, Sarah said gently. But I get it. Sometimes just thinking about it feels satisfying. I looked away, conflicted. Satisfying. But I need more than satisfaction. I need control. She nodded knowingly. Then start small. One move at a time. Don't rush it. Let life do some of the work for you, considered her words. One move at a time. Okay, I can do that. I can't let them get away with it completely. Not Chloe, not Logan. Sarah smiled faintly. You're stronger than you realize. Just remember, smart moves beat reckless ones every time. Her encouragement hit harder than she probably intended. I felt a flicker of hope, a glimmer that maybe I wasn't entirely powerless. Later, I called Logan under the guise of catching up. Hey man, got a minute? Sure, Liam. What's up? He sounded casual, too casual. I leaned back, measuring my words. Just wanted to check in. See how things are going? Heard you've been busy at work. You know? Same old, he replied, arrogance dripping from every syllable. Things going great for me. Not great. I said slowly. Glad to hear it. We talked for a few minutes. Nothing concrete, but I noticed the subtle ways he overplayed his confidence. How he tried to make me feel small, perfect. I filed it away. Every smirk, every brag notes for later. The next day at work, Sarah caught me before the meeting. You look sharper today. More focused. Thanks, I said. I've been thinking. About next steps, you mean? Strategy. She raised an eyebrow. I nodded. Exactly. I'm done being the passive guy. I'm not just going to watch them live their perfect lives while I drown in their lies. I'll move carefully. But I'll move, Sarah smiled. Just a small, encouraging curve of her lips. I believe you can do it, Liam. Just don't lose yourself in it. I looked out the window, city lights sparkling, Chloe's smiling face in my mind. I won't. I'll be smarter, stronger. They'll see what happens when you underestimate someone. For the first time in weeks, I felt a plan for Minga quiet, patient storm brewing inside me. Chloe and Logan might think they're untouchable, but I was no longer the broken man they left behind. I would rise, carefully, strategically, and when the time came, they'd regret everything. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the worn leather strap of my father's old watch. It wasn't just a watch, it was patience, resilience, the quiet strength he carried when life refused to be fair. I turned it over in my hands, feeling the weight of it, and whispered, maybe it's time I learned that too. Sarah's text buzzed. Coffee later, you seem? Different today. I smiled, typing back. Sure. Need to think out loud. Later, we sat in the small cafe near the office. She stirred her coffee slowly. So, what's changed? I leaned back, letting the words spill. I realized I have two paths. One, let anger control me, chase Chloe and Logan, sink into petty revenge, or focus on myself, grow stronger, smarter, and let life deal its own justice. Sarah raised an eyebrow. And, I said, voice firmer than I expected. I choose growth. Anger will fuel me, not consume me. She nodded, her eyes soft but proud. Smart. It's not easy to make that choice when betrayal cuts deep. I smiled, the first real one in days. I've been thinking small steps. Learning new skills, reaching out to people I've ignored, standing up to little betrayals here at work. She leaned closer. I like that. Control what you can, ignore what you can't. I laughed softly. Exactly. It feels freeing, actually. Instead of being stuck, I'm moving. Later at the office, the first test came sooner than expected. A colleague, Mark, tried taking credit for a report I'd submitted. Liam. I just added a few things, he said, smirking. I held his gaze. Added a few things. The main analysis is mine, Mark. Let's make that clear in the report. He hesitated, then muttered, fine. Whatever. I leaned back, chest tightening, not with rage, but with satisfaction. Small victories, I reminded myself. During lunch, Sarah appeared again. Handled it well? I nodded. Better than I would have a week ago. I'd have exploded or walked away now. I just fixed things quietly. Her smile was subtle. That's the difference. Growth isn't loud. It's patient. I thought of my father's watch. Ticking steadily, never rushing, never giving up. I clasped it around my wrist. Patient, yes, and resilient. That's what I'll be. Over the next few days, I found myself learning new software for work, reaching out to former colleagues, even volunteering for small projects that expanded my network. Every task completed, every connection made, was a reminder that control was mine to regain. Late one evening, I caught a glimpse of Chloe's posts online, smiling, flaunting success, living like nothing had happened. I felt the old anger rise, sharp and bitter, but I clenched my fists, closed my eyes, and let it melt into determination instead. This isn't about her. It's about me. Sarah's words echoed in my mind. Control what you can. Ignore what you can't. I started drafting plans. Not for revenge, but for opportunities, projects I could lead. People I could impress, skills I could master. Anger was no longer a poison. It was fuel, a reminder of what I had survived and what I could achieve. Before bed, I whispered to myself, looking at the watch on my wrist, I'll grow stronger, smarter, patient. And one day, everything will fall into place naturally. No shortcuts, no petty games. And for the first time in weeks, I felt calm, yet alive. Growth had begun. I was still flawed, still hurt, but I was no longer helpless. And that made all the difference. I sat at my desk, watching the office hum around me. Funny how quiet the chaos had become. Chloe and Logan were starting to crack without me touching a thing. I whispered to myself, funny. Karma doesn't need me to push it. A meeting was called unexpectedly. Logan walked in, all confidence, until Mr. Thompson's expression froze. Logan, can you explain why the Carter Project numbers don't match the client reports? Must be a mistake, he stammered, color creeping up his neck. Must be... Thompson raised an eyebrow. You presented these figures as accurate. Our client is furious. I watched in silence, the tension thick. Logan fumbled, trying to salvage his pride, but every word was a nail in his own coffin. Sarah leaned toward me quietly. He's finally going to face consequences. I smirked. About time. Later in the break room, Logan muttered under his breath, I don't know how this happened. I didn't do anything wrong. You didn't? I said, voice low, but cutting. Funny, the client thinks otherwise. And somehow I don't feel sorry for you. He froze. Liam, this isn't about you. I shrugged, smiling thinly. Maybe not. But it's sure about reality catching up. Sarah walked in, casually placing a hand on my shoulder. You okay? I'm more than okay, I replied, watching this unfold. Feels satisfying without me doing a thing. She chuckled softly. Patience pays off. You've learned that well. Meanwhile, Chloe's downfall was subtler, but no less devastating. Word had spread about her little social deception at a gala last week, turns out. Her perfect life photos had been staged, and several friends had found out. I heard whispers in the hallway. Did you see Chloe at the gala? Awkward. Yeah. Can't believe she faked all that. I smiled faintly, leaning back in my chair. Not gloating, just observing. Life had a way of balancing itself. Later, Chloe herself approached me, clearly rattled. Liam, I just wanted to say... I raised a brow. Say what, Chloe? I don't know. Things got out of hand. Studied her, noting the first cracks in her armor. Out of hand? I echoed. You mean like your lies? Your manipulation? Everything you thought would stay hidden? She looked down, twisting her hands. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Didn't mean to hurt anyone? I repeated, voice calm but sharp. Funny the impact says otherwise. Maybe now you'll understand how it feels to lose control. Her lips trembled. She nodded silently and walked away. I let her go. No words necessary? Karma was teaching her lessons far more effective than I ever could. That evening, Sarah caught up with me outside the office. You've been quiet all day? Watching, but not interfering. I nodded. Exactly. Revenge isn't about active plotting. It's about letting life restore balance naturally. Chloe and Logan thought they were untouchable. Now they're learning otherwise. She smiled softly. I'm glad you're seeing it this way. Anger doesn't control you anymore. You observe, you learn, and you grow. I exhaled, letting the tension in my chest ease. It feels lighter and stronger. I can focus on myself, not on tearing them down. Life's doing that for me. She placed a reassuring hand on my arm. And I'll be here reminding you of that. Silent support, whenever you need it. Thanks, Sarah, I said quietly. You've been more than just a friend. You've kept me grounded. As we walked through the city streets, I reflected on the week. Logan's arrogance had crumbled under professional scrutiny. Chloe's social image had started cracking. And I remained steady, watching, learning, growing, I whispered to myself, glancing at the lights reflecting in puddles. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Karma moves quietly, but it always moves. Sarah smiled beside me, unaware of how much her presence anchored me. I realized then that I didn't need to act to reclaim power. Focus, patience, and clarity were far stronger than revenge ever could be. And as Chloe and Logan stumbled in their own lives, I felt the first real sense of balance returning. Quiet, deliberate, and satisfying. I sat in the conference room, hands folded, waiting. Today was the presentation for the Mercer account, the one I'd been preparing for weeks. Every slide polished, every number double-checked. My chest thumped, but it wasn't fear. It was anticipation, the kind that comes from knowing you've done everything right. Double quotes, Liam? Ready? Sarah whispered, leaning against the doorframe. Ready, I said, giving her a small nod. The room filled with colleagues and clients. Logan lingered at the back, smirking like he always thought he had control. Chloe wasn't here, of course. Her world was collapsing elsewhere. I took a deep breath. Good morning, everyone. Let's start with the Mercer projections. For the next 20 minutes, I spoke clearly, confidently. Every question I anticipated, every challenge I deflected. The numbers aligned perfectly, the graphs telling the story I wanted. Logan's smirk faded. I noticed subtle shifts, whispers, quick glances, nods of approval. Excellent work, Liam, Mr. Thompson said when I finished, clapping me on the shoulder. Your analysis was precise, thorough, and compelling. Well done. A wave of satisfaction washed over me. Finally, recognition, not just for the work, but for proving I hadn't lost my edge. Later, Sarah caught up with me outside the office. You crushed it. I knew you would. Thanks, I said, letting myself smile. It feels good. To know I'm back, to know I still matter professionally. She grinned. And personally, too. People see it, Liam. They notice strength. I exhaled, thinking about how far I'd come. But the moment of triumph was interrupted by my phone buzzing. A text from Chloe. Liam, I need help, please. It's urgent. I froze. Her messages had always been manipulative before, but this time the tone was desperate. I read it again. Urgent, she said. I paced, clenching my fists. Should I ignore her? My mind split. Part of me wanted to let her struggle, to savor a taste of justice. Another part, the part I hated admitting, felt a pull. Maybe people deserve help, even if they've hurt you. I dialed her number, heart hammering. She answered immediately, voice shaky. Liam, thank God. I don't know what to do, she said. Panic clear in every word. Chloe, what happened? I asked cautiously. Everything's falling apart, she admitted. I made mistakes. Big ones. And now, I can't handle it alone. I leaned against the wall, running a hand over my face. Why should I help you after everything? I know I hurt you, she whispered. I need someone. Anyone. I don't know who else to turn to. Silence stretched. I felt anger, betrayal, and something I hadn't felt in weeks, compassion. But compassion came with strings attached. I had a choice. Let her suffer. Or step in and offer aid while keeping myself guarded. I'll help, I said finally, voice low but firm. But things need to be clear. I'm not here for excuses or apologies. We handle this logically. You follow my guidance, or not at all. Her relief was immediate. Thank you, Liam. Thank you so much. I don't deserve this, but I'm grateful. I rubbed my temples. Deserve has nothing to do with it. We're fixing the problem. Nothing more. Sarah appeared again, noticing the tension on my face. Everything okay? I shook my head, smiling faintly. It's complicated, Chloe. She's asking for help, and I'm deciding whether to give it. Sarah tilted her head. Sounds like a moral dilemma. Exactly, I admitted. Part of me wants to watch her struggle. Another part doesn't want to see anyone drown, even her. She nodded, her voice calm. Whatever you choose, remember it's your choice, Liam. Don't let anger or guilt dictate it completely. Let clarity lead. I exhaled, looking at the city lights reflecting off the office windows. Clarity. That's what I need. I've rebuilt myself professionally, emotionally. I can handle this logically, carefully. For the first time in days, I felt control, not power over Chloe, not revenge, just control over my own decisions. I whispered to myself, I rise, I decide, and I act on my terms. No one else dictates my life. And with that, I finally felt steady, ready to face the next challenge. My phone buzzed with a name I hadn't wanted to see again. Chloe. I stared at it, fingers tense. Finally, I answered, Liam, please. I need your help. Her voice trembled, raw and desperate. I leaned back, crossing my arms. Help. After everything. Do I even know what kind of help you're talking about? I messed up. Big time. I don't know who else to call, she admitted. Panic sharpening each word. I let silence stretch, forcing her to feel the weight of it. You don't just mess up, Chloe. You hurt people. You lied, manipulated. Do you expect me to forget all that? I'm sorry, truly, she whispered. This isn't about me trying to charm you or manipulate you. I just need someone competent right now. Someone I can trust to guide me. I raised an eyebrow. Trust me. After months of betrayal, you really think I'd hand over trust so easily? I know, I don't deserve it, she said quickly. But I'm out of options. Please, Liam. I'm desperate. I leaned forward, voice calm but sharp. Tell me exactly what you need, Chloe. No games. No lies. I'll decide if it's worth my time, she swallowed audibly. It's the merger. The deal I was handling. Everything's falling apart, and Logan. He's useless. I can't fix this alone. I nodded slowly. So Logan can't manage, and you've come crawling. Typical. I know. I know it looks bad, but I'm serious. Please, Liam. I can't do this without someone who knows what they're doing. I glanced at Sarah, who had just walked into the office. Her expression was steady, supportive. I caught her eye and nodded subtly. This was a test of control. Fine, I said finally. I'll help. But only because this isn't about revenge. It's about ensuring things don't collapse entirely. You follow my instructions to the letter, Chloe? One slip, one lie, and that's it. Relief flooded her voice. Thank you. Thank you so much. I won't forget this. He smirked thinly. Don't forget, just don't screw it up. Before she could respond, Logan appeared, flustered. Liam, wait. You're not doing this for her, are you? We can handle it together. I looked at him, calm but cutting. Handle it together? Logan, you've been failing at every turn. You're part of the problem, not the solution. Step aside. He hesitated, swallowing hard. But I can help, you won't. I've already decided. Your arrogance cost her, cost me, cost the project. Stay out of this. He clenched his fists, jaw tight, but he backed down. I watched him retreat, powerless in his own failure. Chloe's eyes followed him, darting nervously. I see why you came to me, I said, voice low, turning back to her. You know who's competent, who can actually fix things? But understand this help doesn't erase the past. It just ensures survival for now. She nodded, tears brimming. I understand. Thank you, Liam. I don't know how to explain what this means. You don't need to explain. Just act. Follow instructions. And maybe, just maybe, learn something about respect and competence along the way. She swallowed and gave a small, hesitant nod. I will, I promise. Sarah stepped closer, placing a hand on my shoulder. You handled that well, powerfully, without letting anger dictate you. I exhaled, feeling the tension in my chest ease. It's not about anger anymore. It's about clarity. I'm in control. They're scrambling, I'm calm, and that's the difference. Chloe's voice was barely a whisper. Liam, I hope one day I can repay this. I studied her for a moment, letting her feel the weight of her past mistakes. Repayment isn't necessary. Change, learning, maybe humility. That's enough. Now focus. We've got work to do. She nodded, eyes downcast but attentive. Logan had vanished, cowardice clear in absence. The balance had shifted, and I felt it keenly. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was guiding, controlling, mastering the situation without losing myself. Sarah smiled subtly, her presence grounding me. I whispered under my breath, more to myself than anyone else. Control, clarity, patience. This is how power is earned. Quietly, deliberately. And with that, I felt the shift complete. The request for help became a lesson in authority, and I was finally at the center, unshaken, resolute, and in control. I stood outside Chloe's office, phone in hand, debating if I should just walk away. The anger and hurt had faded, replaced with something sharper clarity. I tapped lightly on the door. "Liam?" Chloe's voice tentative, uncertain. "Chloe," I said, stepping inside. She looked different, smaller somehow, vulnerability etched into her face. "I didn't expect you," she said softly. "I didn't come here for surprise visits," I replied, voice even. "We need to talk." "About everything." Her hands twisted nervously. "Everything." "Liam, I know I hurt you." I cut her off gently. "Don't. I want to hear it, yes, but I'm not here for excuses. I'm here to make sure the truth is clear for both of us." She swallowed hard. I betrayed you. I lied. I manipulated. And I know," I said, voice steady. "You don't need to repeat it for me to understand. The lies, the betrayal, they broke more than trust. They broke parts of me I didn't know were fragile." Her eyes welled up. "I never thought you'd survive it, Liam. I thought you'd fall apart." I studied her, the small tremors in her hands. "I almost did. But here's the thing. I chose not to fall apart completely. I chose to rise instead. And that choice isn't about you. It's about me." She nodded silently. I can't change what I did, but I'm sorry, truly. Sorry doesn't erase the nights I spent doubting myself, Chloe. The humiliation, the shame." I paused, letting it settle. "But it doesn't define me anymore. And I'm not here to make you suffer. I'm here to make sure you understand that actions have consequences." Before she could respond, the office door opened. Logan stood there, color drained from his face. "Liam." "Wait, this isn't the time," I turned to him slowly. "Logan, it's exactly the time. Everyone knows what you did with the Carter Project. Your arrogance, your negligence. It's exposed, and your charm won't fix it now," he stammered. I can explain." "No," I said firmly. "You don't get to explain. You get to face the truth. Publicly, professionally. You can't hide behind smiles anymore." Dropped his gaze, jaw tight. The mask of confidence shattered, and for the first time, I saw fear. Chloe's voice quivered. I didn't realize what?" I asked, voice calm but cutting. "That your choices have consequences? That Logan's arrogance isn't invincible? You both played games thinking no one would call them out. I was desperate," she admitted. "I didn't know what else to do." "Desperate doesn't justify betrayal," I said, softening slightly. "But I can see you're human. Fragile, flawed, like everyone. That's the lesson here. You don't need me to punish you. Life is doing that. And now you have a choice. Learn or keep repeating mistakes." She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. I understand." I turned back to Logan. "And you? What will you do with the exposure? The shame? The loss of credibility? Hide? Fight? Or finally reflect?" He swallowed, silent. I didn't need words. His crumbling posture, the way he avoided my eyes, it was proof enough. Karma had arrived naturally, without my interference. Sarah stepped into the room quietly, her presence grounding me. "You handled that beautifully," she whispered. I exhaled, letting tension leave my shoulders. It's not beauty. It's clarity. Strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's quiet, patient, observant. Chloe wiped her eyes. "Liam, will you ever forgive me?" I considered it. Forgiveness isn't instant, and it's not given lightly. But I realized something important. I didn't need to hate her to be free. "We'll forgive," I said slowly. "Not for you. So I can move on without carrying this weight. But don't mistake forgiveness for trust. That's earned, not assumed." She nodded, a mix of relief and remorse on her face. I looked at Logan one last time. "Your arrogance taught you a hard lesson. Don't waste it. Learn something before the next opportunity slips away." He swallowed, silent. Nothing more needed to be said. Turning towards Sarah, I whispered, "Control, clarity, patience. That's what it took. And now I'm free. Not from them, not from the past, but from being powerless." She smiled faintly, proud and quiet. "You've grown, Liam. Not just stronger. Wiser." I let myself exhale fully for the first time in months. The confrontation was over. The lessons were clear. And I finally felt what I'd been striving for: emotional closure, moral balance, and the quiet triumph of someone who chose strength over vengeance for the first time. I walked away from them not angry, not broken, but steady. In control, I stood on the balcony of my apartment, city lights twinkling below. It was quiet, peaceful, almost surreal. Months of chaos, betrayal, and heartbreak had led me here. I traced the edge of my father's old watch, now polished and ticking steadily on my wrist. Sarah's voice came through the phone. "You've been quiet today?" "Reflecting." "Yeah," I admitted. "Thinking about everything. How far I've come, what I've learned." "Sounds like growth," she said softly. "Not just surviving anymore, but thriving." I smiled faintly. "Exactly. I survived betrayal. I faced humiliation. I watched Chloe and Logan struggle without me intervening, and it taught me patience and control. And now," I paused, letting the weight of my words settle, "I'm free to focus on myself." "Good," she said. "You deserve that." I chuckled. "Do you know the strangest part? I don't even feel anger anymore. It's clarity, strength. I'm not seeking revenge, just living carefully, deliberately, without letting the past dictate my actions." Sarah's laugh was warm. "That's maturity. That's wisdom. I'm proud of you, Liam." "Thanks," I said, voice quiet. "And I'm glad you're still around. You've been a steady presence, even when I couldn't see it clearly." "Always," she replied. "You don't have to go through life alone." I ran my fingers over the watch. It started with this. A symbol, really. My father's patience and resilience. I clung to it when everything fell apart. Now, I think it's time to return it to its place. I walked to the old wooden box on my bookshelf, carefully placing the watch inside. "Not because I've forgotten the past," I whispered, "but because I don't need to carry it on my wrist to remember. The lessons are in me now." The apartment door opened and Sarah stepped in. "Looks like you've made a decision." I nodded. "I have. I'm moving forward. Chloe and Logan are no longer central to my life. I've seen the consequences of their actions. I've learned from them, but I'm not letting them control my emotions anymore." Sarah smiled, sensing my calm. "So what's next?" I leaned back, looking out at the skyline. "Focus on my career, personal growth, meaningful relationships. I want to build, not dwell. I want trust, not suspicion. And I want balance, not chaos." She walked closer. "Sounds like a plan. And maybe happiness along the way." I chuckled. "Maybe I won't rush it. Happiness isn't a target. It's a byproduct of growth and stability. That's what I've learned." For the first time in months, I felt content. Not the hollow contentment that comes from ignoring pain, but the steady, grounded peace that comes from overcoming it. "Do you ever think about Chloe?" Sarah asked cautiously. "I thought about her, the girl who laughed when I lost everything, now humbled and struggling. I think about what I learned from her," I said. "Not anger, not resentment, just lessons. How trust is precious, how pride can blind, how patience shapes character. That's enough." "And Logan?" she asked, I shook my head. Let him face the consequences on his own. I've done my part by staying true to myself, observing, guiding where necessary, and letting life teach the lessons he ignored. Sarah reached out, brushing her hand against mine. You've really grown, Liam. I see it. I smiled, feeling the weight of the past lift. I've grown because I had to. Because betrayal and pain forced me to confront my weaknesses and turn them into strengths. I'm not the same man who stood outside that cafe, shattered and humiliated. I'm better, stronger, steady. She nodded, quiet pride in her eyes. Then the future is yours. I looked at the watch in its box, then back at the city, breathing in the cool night air. It is, and I'll face it deliberately, patiently, with clarity. Not chasing revenge, not holding grudges. Just moving forward. Sarah smiled warmly. Then let's start the next chapter. I turned toward her, feeling a sense of empowerment unlike anything before. Yes, the next chapter is mine too, right? And with that, I finally felt whole, free from the past, prepared for the future, and confident that every step forward was earned. Deliberate and mine alone.